Next speaker, Ms. Pooja Shah. Madam, may I have your permission to begin? Thank you. She is our alumna from 2009-2011 batch. She has done BSc in Biotechnology from Garden City College, Bangalore. She has also acquired Masters in Marketing Management from Pune University. She is currently working as industry leader for insurance sector at Synergy Private Limited. Prior to this, she had worked with Dale Carnegie Training. Madam is expert in brand marketing, marketing communications, market research, and B2B sales exposure. She had been all-round high performer in her work graph. To name few of her accolades, Star Performer of the Quarter Award for 3 consecutive quarters at Synergy, Service Star Award for 3 consecutive months at Dale Carnegie Training. She has also received prestigious Shrimant Lakshmi Devi Naik Nimbalkar Rani Sahiba of Fulton Trophy for Best Girl Student at IIEBM. Madam is also an avid badminton player. I request you, Madam, to kindly address our batch.
I think Rachita's already done a very, very good job in keeping all of you guys awake. I could see all the enthusiasm bubbling out of all of you through the questions that you all had for her, which I think makes my job a little easier because you all will have less questions for me now. But what it has made difficult for me now is because both of us come from almost similar backgrounds. It's a challenge for me to now try and deliver something different for you so that you guys don't find something repetitive. But I also think of another thing. Our parents in childhood kept telling us the same thing again and again, and that's why it fit into our heads very well. So I don't mind repeating a few things here. I think that's how it will fit into your heads. I have not prepared a presentation as such because I thought of making the format of this session such where I could tell you guys what my story or my journey has been so far. I don't know how much value it will add to you because at the end of completing my story, I would want to ask you guys what you all have learned from it. I have still a lot of things to learn. I mean, how old am I? 27? I know girls don't tell their age, but yeah. So in 27 years, I have learned a lot of things from a lot of people. Putting all of that together in a session of 1.5 hours is a big challenge in front of me, but I'll try my level best. So yes, I'm Pooja. I'm born and brought up in Goa, and I did entire schooling from there itself. So till 12th I was in Goa. My dad has his own business. So I've always been brought up in a business family. My grandfather had his own business. My great-grandfathers, everybody in my family always only thought of business. After my 12th standard, I moved to Bangalore to pursue a BSc in Biotechnology. While I was in 12th standard, I always wanted to be, from the time I got some sense in my head and I was thinking about my career, I always wanted to be a doctor. Okay, I mean, that's what we are all brought up with, right? If you're good at studies, you are either an engineer or you are a doctor. There are no other options. I was a very good badminton player. If I was given a choice and if I was told that, if you want to make a career in something, what would you want to do? I would have chosen dance as a stream. I would want to make a career in dancing. But I don't think those were options that were really valued at that point of time, especially when with every report card that you brought home, you brought good grades. So your parents would sit down and tell you that you're getting good grades, man, you're amongst the toppers, and you want to dance? You can dance in your part-time, you can dance at home in front of us. When relatives come in, we'll make you dance in front of them. But you're not going to be dancing your entire life. Okay? So yes, no regrets because they were making a lot of sense. If I'm able to say that I have achieved a little bit of success in life, I'm happy with what I'm doing in my life, is because of the guidance that I got from my parents. So yes, I always wanted to be a doctor. I hated engineering, not because I did not like maths, but I don't know, somehow Pooja Shah, engineer, it did not fit into my head. Rather, I wanted Dr. Pooja Shah. Wow, that sounds good. You know, sounds good. So that was the only thought process behind why I wanted to be a doctor. I studied very, very hard. I got good grades and all of that. But the unfortunate thing that happened when I was in 12th, Goa government all of a sudden felt the need to introduce a common entrance test, which, you know, all of us, we appear at an all India level. So if I wanted to get myself an admission in Goa Medical College, which is amongst the top 10 medical colleges in India, all that I needed to do was score above 90%, which I did. But just after the results were declared, the government decided that we need to make sure that the admissions are happening on the basis of a common entrance test. Now the entire country gets 1 year to prepare for the common entrance test. Unfortunately, my batch got only 27 days to prepare for this particular exam. The paper was being set by a bench of IIT Bombay. Now you know how much I hate engineers. So yes, they set the paper. I appeared for the exam. I tried. I burnt the midnight oil. The electricity bill of my house really shot for 1 month because I was struggling hard to understand what this common entrance test is all about. But I did not have an option. I appeared for the test. I did not do well. That's why you all know I'm not a doctor. I did not do well because it was a competition at all India level now. But I was only prepared to compete at my state level. So then I thought, what do I do now? I mean, I had not thought of any other career option right from 5th or 6th standard. Dancing was completely out. Even though I was playing badminton well, I represented my school at state level. We won for 5 years. But I don't know, I just played because I liked playing. I never thought of it as a career option. What do I do now? There was a big question mark there, and I was seeing a lot of people already securing admissions at other institutes. Again, I was brought up in an environment, in a very homely environment. For me to think of moving outside Goa and studying, that was also something I'd never thought about. Again, if I have to take an admission to do my MBBS outside Goa, there are entrance exams I need to answer, right? So that cannot happen overnight. It took me a month almost to put things in perspective, sit down with my parents, sit down with couple of elders and try and understand where I should be taking my career now. And that's when doing a little bit of research on the internet, talking to people, getting to know what other career options are available for us, I thought of pursuing biotech. Biotech because that was number one, a very upcoming field at that point of time. The government was making a lot of investment in that sector, which meant that there would be a lot of job opportunities as well. Lot of colleges were offering a lot of different combination of subjects if you wanted to study that. So in Goa there was a different combination. If I looked at the syllabus of Pune University, there was a different combination. Bangalore had a different combination. So I kind of liked the kind of subject mix they had done for the Bangalore University. I went there and went to Garden City College. Some of my friends had already taken admission there, so got to know from them. I was already a month late because everybody else was already doing what they were doing. Asked them what is it all about. Though, I mean, I was least interested. I was completely heartbroken that, you know, I'm not being a doctor and I'm being somebody else. What will I write in front of my name? Biotech Pooja Shah? Never heard of something like this. I wanted the words DR very badly in front of my name. But eventually, I got myself admitted there. Again, the whole challenge that I faced, a lot of other students faced in Goa. So a lot of parents formed a committee and they decided to oppose this decision that the government had taken and said this is not fair with the career of more than 1,000 students who had appeared for this particular test. It's unfair when the whole country gets 1 year to prepare, my children get only 27 days to prepare and you expect them to compete at that level. That's absolutely unfair. Do not consider this score. From next year, you can start implementing this particular rule, not this year. Lot of to and fro, lot of conversations, arguments, debates and all of that was happening over there. By then I had already completed a month and a half at Garden City, settled myself. It took me a week when I used to go in my bunker under the blanket and cry and miss my parents, miss Goa, miss my friends and all of that. But after that I was quite comfortable. I started studying biotech. I liked the subjects. Again, because it has a lot to do with biology, it has a lot to do with how the entire human species came into existence. Very interesting to study. And a month and a half later, I get a call saying that, you know what, this whole thing has been scrapped. Your name appears in the merit list and now you can come and be a doctor. You can pursue MBBS. Now what do I do? Big challenge. I was very happy at Garden City. I had made new friends now. I was liking that whole atmosphere of, you know, being all by yourself, independent. Couple of things, yes, I needed to ask my mom, how do I do this? I needed to ask my dad, I'm going to this place, is it safe? Should I go? Should I contact somebody? But I had learnt all of that. Managing your own day by yourself, planning well, what time will I study? If this is the time I need to go to college, nobody is there to wake me up. I have to wake up with my alarm. I'm sure most of us sitting over here would have our parents still coming to us 10 times to wake us up. But now you're all by yourself. If you're late, the gate closes, the watchman will not allow you. You're marked absent for that entire day. I'm sure, I mean this happens here as well. I don't know if you guys are still getting fined for coming late. Are they? Yeah. That's bad. That is something I've seen here, huh? And I used to be on time. So I was liking all of that and my first career option was calling me. It was a tough call, but I decided to stay back there. I said that MBBS is something that will take 5 years. I'll have to study so hard and then I'll have, the story doesn't end there. I'll have to do my masters, I'll have to specialize into being a neurologist or anything, cardiologist and all of that. That again will be a different competitive pressure. By the time I start earning, I think it would take me 8 to 10 years and I'm just studying. How am I adding value to my life? What about the other things that I want to do? I want to continue dancing. I want to continue playing badminton. I love reading. I want to find time for reading as well, different novels and different kinds of books, different literature. Where will I get time for all that? So I took a very practical decision. I said, I just don't want to be master of one. I want to be a jack of all trades. So I decided to continue studying at Garden City. And I think so far that was the best decision of my life because I actually got to do everything that I had visualized myself doing. I was studying, managing to get good grades, was able to participate in lot of other activities that were happening. And if I look at myself today, the personal development or the personal growth graph, if I have to draw for myself, it has really gone up because of those 3 years that I spent at Bangalore, all by myself, managing my life, managing my career, managing my time, and managing the entire environment around me. We were staying in a room with 6 girls sharing one room. And 3 years without a single fight. Without a single fight. I think that's an achievement for all of us girls. Yes, and I'm sure boys would also agree because 2 girls cannot stand each other for too long. But 3 years is a long time. and we're still good friends. We go for each other's birthdays, for each other's weddings, etc. So that's my achievement. So after biotech, again, where's the job? After you finish your graduation, you want to start earning, and that was my initial thought, right? MBBS is going to take me too long, being a doctor is 10 years, when will I start earning? I got worried. It was time for placements, there were people getting placed at different places, but I was somehow not finding the right kind of a job, or there were not too many companies coming to campus, and maybe what they were paying was not enough for me. I was really expecting too much. So I thought, I'm not going to settle for less. 10,000, 12,000, I'm not going to take up such jobs. I went back home, and when I was sitting with my dad, I told him that I did biotech, and I thought I'll be job ready in 3 years, and there were companies coming, they were paying less. I'm not going to settle for that less. I'm doing well in my life, I've got good grades, I speak well. If they ask me any good questions in interviews, I'm doing well there as well. Why are they paying me so less? And moreover, look at that profile that they're giving me. They just expect me to assist somebody and wash the test tubes for him and wash the pipette for him. I don't want to do that. What will I learn? So that was my attitude then. So my dad said, okay, have you thought of studying further? I said, no, I haven't. It's like, then what do you want to do? You want to get married? I said, no, never. And when he asked me that question, that was the turning point in my life. Because if I sit at home for too long, they'll get me married. And I don't want to do that. So let me settle for a small job only. What will happen? Kam paise aayenge, chalega. We can manage. I appeared for a few job interviews. I came to Pune. Something did not click. I got 2 offers. They were paying very less, 5,000 and 7,000, but I was okay. I was absolutely okay with working for even zero money now, because my dad was talking about marriage. Not that he was serious, but he just asked me. He just gave me an option. But it did not click. Somehow I did not want to take it. At that point in time, my dad's business was going through a lot of turmoil. He has a business partner who cheated on him, and my dad had to bear a loss of 3.5 crores during that time. If I had to study further, there was a little challenge there as well. I mean, you know, with such a big loss and just one earning member in the family, I did not feel, or my conscience did not allow me to go and tell him that, you know, Dad, I want to study further. I want to go to US and probably pursue my MS or do some kind of an MBA or something like that. Where's the money going to come from? So all that was put at rest. I started helping my dad in that period, working closely with him on what the issue was. So my dad had built first of its kind project, they called it. It was Asia's first floating restaurant. A wooden boat, completely a wooden boat, you know, made out of all kind of marine plywood, etc. And it had a restaurant on it. So the first deck had a restaurant, the second deck had a complete open space where you could host your private parties, etc. He ran this business with a partner of his for around 3.5 years. The actual valuation of this entire project was 5.5 crores when it got ready. All elite class people would come and, you know, book the space. A lot of movies have been shot on that boat. The chief minister and his son, etc., everybody's partied on it and all of that. So those were the grand days. And suddenly this partner decided to part ways with my dad, but not mutually. He sold the business without my dad's knowledge for as low as 2.2 crores. So that was the kind of loss that we had bared. A lot of legal suits running in the court, lot of people trying to threaten you on the phone for different kinds of money expectations that they had. Plus there were banks, there are loans outstanding, so a lot of turmoil. And somehow I got myself involved in that, and after my graduation I spent 1 year with my dad in getting this issue resolved. And when I was working with him on this particular thing, everything else just automatically went on the back burner. This was like the project that I was, always hoping for. This is the kind of thing that probably I always wanted to do. Go and sit with the partner, discuss what are his challenges and issues. Why did he take this step? What went wrong in this kind of a partnership? Were there certain expectations that we didn't meet? Did he feel at any point of time that we cheated on him? Lot of people issues, lot of legal issues. There were employees. We were employing 150 people. Their monies were at stake. When a business closes, there are 100 other houses where there won't be money for the next few months unless they don't get jobs. So their responsibility was on our head. We needed to make sure that they have sufficient amount of money for it to sustain them at least for the next 2 to 3 months till they find a better opportunity for themselves. So getting involved to that extent. And that's when I learned that this is what I want to do. That was a calling. I always wanted to do business. Why MBA, why that MBBS and biotech and all of that came in my mind, I don't know. But of course there have been learnings. There was a personal development, like I said, that happened during those 3 years, before which I was really in a shell. So the shell broke. I went to Bangalore. I became independent. I got the knowledge of how people live in peace with each other. That's when I was able to come back home, help my dad in resolving these people issues and getting things back on track. And after that, Rachita was already studying here, and I thought that I should be doing an MBA because that's my area of interest. I want to work at a corporate, and I want to handle these kind of issues. I like it, and I'm good at it also to an extent. If I've been able to do it once, I'm sure I can do it again and again. I contacted her. She told me about the college, how the environment is here, and I quite liked it. I came here, I met Jessa, got to understand what is the entire expectation from a student for 2 years and what kind of students are they looking at. I appeared for the test, got an admission here, and came and I sat here on one of these chairs. During the induction, lot of speakers came. They spoke about lot of motivational stuff, what all skills you need to be job ready, what all things you need to make a successful career, what is management looking at, in the corporate world. How do you crack difficult interviews? What kind of questions they ask and all of that. Interesting. But it was not clicking somewhere. 2 days, 3 days of induction passed and I felt that, I don't know, somehow it's just not working. Something's not entering my head. I don't know what. One day, during the induction program, Marwa sir, Jessa's dad, he was addressing us, and students, we all were sitting here, and one of my batchmates asked, so how are the placements of this college? How does it go? What is the highest package? What kind of profile? Which specialization should I do so that I get the maximum package and I get the best profile? I want to be the vice president of a company the minute I pass out of here. That was the aura that he created. And Marwa sir answered that I'm not running a placement agency here. Right? This is not a placement agency. This is an MBA school. This is an MBA institute. Why have we all come here? Most of us will say we are here to get a degree to ourselves. Is that all? Just a degree on the resume saying that after engineering MBA or after biotech MBA, and that is what will make my 7 or 10,000 to 20,000. No, right? So what is it that we are all here for? He asked us. We stood up and we said, I'm here to gain knowledge. I'm here to learn HR because I have passion for it. Somebody said that I'm here because I want to go back and join my dad's business. I want to help him grow that. Somebody said that I want to go and join a corporate, a big multinational company and get myself even an international exposure through that company because I love traveling. And then Sir said that what all of you are thinking about right now is a Naukri, right? We are all sitting here and thinking, and that's what I did. I thought MBBS, then my masters, and then I want to start earning. I did biotech. The question mark was, where am I earning? I came here to do my MBA. Where is my earning? That's a question mark. So how we are looking at, I realized, at the whole education system is how much I spend on studying in 20-25 years of my life, I should get that much returns after that. We are looking at the whole education system as a business. I spend so much, I want so much profit out of it. That's when he said that I'm not here to promote a culture of Naukri. I want each one of you sitting here to walk out of this institute and say, this is my business. Don't look for employment. Look for generating employment. Imagine you go, you join a company, you work there, fair enough. What next? I'm not saying it's bad. I'm also doing that. I joined Dale Carnegie training. After that, a year and a half later, I got a very good opportunity with Synergy. I was not looking out for an opportunity, but I got an opportunity. I was like, okay, let's try it. I went there. I'm there for the last 3 years now. Tomorrow I might get a call and somebody will say that, you know, this is another opportunity we have. I might just go appear there for an interview. If I crack it, I get it. They'll double my package or triple my package or whatever. So every 2 years, 3 years down the line, as you will gain more experience, such opportunities will keep coming in the corporate world, no doubt. Will anybody ever think of taking such opportunities or, you know, not committing yourself to your own business? Let's say if I'm doing my own business and that's something that I was always passionate about. That's an idea that's out of the box. Nobody else is running it. If you see, I've become a very avid reader of this particular magazine called Your Story. You can download the app on your cell phones as well. Your Story is a forum that covers stories about all startups across India. And I'm amazed to see the kind of ideas that people are coming up with. These are all such innovative things that have been in front of my eyes, but I've just not seen it. So where does this idea come from? There's a problem. There has to be a gap, right? So there were two people who were working in an IT company. They used to sit there, go for their regular meals, breakfast, lunch, dinner, etc. And one day they realized that I go down there, I stand in a long queue because it's an IT park. There are a lot of IT companies there. So people go down there, they stand in a long queue and they're waiting to see what's on the menu. So I reach the counter, I see what's on the menu, and then I take my own time to decide what do I want to eat, what do I want to eat. Girls will take almost double the time and then they'll place their order and the food will come. So my lunch break, instead of being 1 hour, it may become 1.5 hours. So these two people who were standing in this queue every single day, they thought, why not just take a photograph of this menu? Not that he publishes something, he gives us some new food every day. Let's just take a photograph of this menu and put it on our intranet. So they have a portal inside their organization where all of them can see it. So all the 1,000, 2,000 employees can see that menu card on their portal, and they can already decide that this is what I want to do. They can even call and tell him that keep this ready, I'm coming. And with this one initiative, they were able to solve this problem where employees' lunch breaks were 1.5 hours, they were reduced to 20 minutes to half an hour. There was the idea. They thought if we can do this for our own company, why can't we do this for all the restaurants? And that's how Zomato came into existence. Have you guys heard of Zomato? Yes. Hasn't that made our life so easy? I mean, I just look into Zomato, which are the restaurants around me. I see their menu card as well. I can also decide if it's into my budget or not. I might want to walk into a lavish restaurant and then decide I'm going to eat here. But what if it does not fit into my pockets? So I can see that, I can decide on the basis of that as well whether I want to eat there or not. I can see photos and see the ambience of the place. That's how that came into existence. And when I was reading their story, I realized that their story was also very similar. They always thought of a job. They always thought, अच्छी पढ़ाई करेंगे, IT कंपनी में जॉब लेंगे, आराम से खाएंगे पिएंगे, पूरा दिन वहाँ पे सब कुछ मिलता है. You can play there, there's a gym, there's everything over there. But there's something that's missing in your life. And they found that something in Zomato. So the point I'm trying to draw home is that don't look at these 2 years as you have come here just to gain a specialization. Rachita has already spoken about how important it is to multitask, right? So if I am a specialist, how will I do that? It's no more a world of specialists today. It's about having a little bit of knowledge about everything. If you guys want to take an experience, I would suggest don't look for big companies. Look for startups. Pune, Bangalore and Delhi. These 3 places are full of startup organizations. If you'll read your story, you will know that they are completely talking about an age group of similar to your age and my age in the bracket of 20 to 28, max 30-32 years. And they have all started their own companies and they are all looking for talent like you guys. They're not asking for too much of experience. They just want people with the right attitude, people who are ready to burn the midnight oil with them. Be ready for that. A startup is not going to give you all the luxury and all the comfort. It is something that will give you a platform to grow yourself. Always look for a place where you can grow yourself. And when you work with a startup, you get to make your hands dirty with every single function out there, be it operations, be it HR, be it finance, be it sales or be it marketing. You might want to sit here and ask us, what took you to sales, what took you to marketing, did we have the skills or not? But I think I got to know that I have these skills only when I went and I started working there, right? So sitting over here, you will learn all the subjects. In the last year, probably you will get to choose your specialization, what you need to, what you want to study further. But if you work with a startup, you will get real hands-on experience in all the functions. And I think that's a better way to judge and decide what you want to pursue as your career. Experience it. Learn from your own experiences, right? So then, coming back to my story, after my MBA, we had campus placements happening. I was also terrified. What will happen? Where will I get a job? What will I do? Dale Carnegie Training, I think, was the first company that came on campus. I was like, I don't want to miss this. What if nobody comes after that? I went, I appeared for the interview, I cracked it. I got into the company, I started working there, and I joined as a management trainee. I think I was very lucky to join there as a management trainee. Initially, I thought, what is management trainee? What will I go out and tell people? Just a management trainee. I want a good designation like a marketing manager or a sales manager or finance manager. What is management trainee? But again, that management trainee experience allowed me to work in every single division in Dale Carnegie training. For 1 year I was a trainee. I performed well in different divisions, and then my mentor sat down with me and told me that this is a division where you did best. And that's how I learned that I have a passion for sales and marketing. I'm good at it. And when you do what you're good at, it just makes your life easy, right? Rather than trying to run after something that you may not be so good at, you still have to learn about it. So that's how I continued my career in sales and marketing. Luckily, I was hired at a time when the company was expanding into new regions. So for the last 10 years, the company was operating only in Tier 1 cities. That's Mumbai, Delhi, Bangalore. I got hired when the company thought we want to expand to Tier 2 cities. Pune, Hyderabad, Chennai, Trivandrum, Kolkata, Chandigarh. And when I got hired, they said these are the markets that you need to develop. There were already experienced people in my team. They were handling these developed markets, and I thought, how can I do it? I'm a fresher. I don't even know your business. I don't even know how it happens. How can I do it? I thought to myself, and this is unrealistic. They can't expect me to start growing their business in a market where nobody even knows them. But I had to do it because I was hired for that. If I said no, I will not do it, they'll say okay, bye. We'll get somebody else to do it. So I took it, okay, let's try. Started from scratch, learned from the seniors, what is it that worked for them. How did they, I'm sure someday people would have not known Dale Carnegie in Bombay as well, right? Today they know it for 10 years, but they wouldn't have known. So I went back to those people. I went to my chairperson to ask her, how did the organization come into existence? What was the thought? And when I got to understand the vision of the company, I was able to align my vision with it. It's very important, I have learned that if you want to stay committed to an organization, if you want to give your best every single day to a company, you want to come home satisfied without any grudges, without any concerns, it's important that you align your personal goals with the goals of the company. If the company wants to move in an X direction and I want to move in a Y direction, every 2 months I'll be looking for a different job. Trust me, that's going to happen. So every time, whether I'm working with Synergy or whether I was working with Dale Carnegie, my first task has always been to understand what is the vision of the company. There are a lot of companies which are visionless also, by the way. They don't know where they want to go. They're just running one day at a time. So it's very important to understand from the management, whoever your seniors are, do a thorough research on the website, see how the company has progressed in the last few years and analyze where the company has gone and what was the vision of the company. Have the two things been in line? And then align my personal goals with it. What were my personal goals? My personal goals were to improve my communication skills. I wanted to improve this by first hand experience of interacting with different people on a daily basis. So even though I specialized in marketing, I was not going to get an opportunity to interact with people, and I was not going to get an opportunity to build further on my communication skills unless I moved out of that marketing role. There's only one role that gave me that opportunity, and that is sales. I remember one of my professors at IIBM itself, I told him that I want to pursue a career in marketing. Where should I start? He's Kingshuk Bhaduri sir. I'm not sure if he's teaching you guys. He's teaching them? Great. So he's one good professor who will give you a lot of career guidance apart from the marketing and management theory. I asked him that, sir, I want to pursue a career in marketing. Where do I start? coming back to one of your questions, you guys asked what's the difference between sales and marketing, right? I had a same question and I asked this question to Sir Kingshuk. And I said, so what is the difference between sales and marketing? All these companies who come, they say it's an opening for marketing executive. But when you read the job description, they are talking about going and meeting prospects, promoting your product over there, selling it, explaining what the product is, and making sure that they understand it, they buy it, they give you the money, closing the deal. I always thought this was sales. I worked with my dad's business and I know, this is sales, this is not marketing. He said that the world is so advanced today and the corporate world has shrinked so much that people are expected to multitask, right? What kind of multitasking is this? It's a kind of multitasking where your roles have evolved. A sales executive's job is not just to sell. He is also supposed to do marketing. A marketing executive's job is also not just about create a brand and keep it there. It's his job to even promote that brand. So the minute you're promoting something, you're selling, right? So the two functions work hand in hand. The role of marketing is to create that brand. The role of sales is to encash on that brand. Sales are supposed to bring the money back. Marketing is a cost center. They will create the brand by spending money on advertisements, promotions, etc. So that's how the two departments work hand in hand. But today, talent is so expensive, plus our courses in MBA colleges have advanced so much that there is a good learning that students are having in both the areas. As you guys will learn, you all will know that sales and marketing would more or less overlap. When you will be writing exams, you will know that you are repeating some answers in sales and from sales you are repeating some answers in marketing. So, which is not a bad thing, it's actually the fact. You are required to juggle between the two roles. So I asked sir that, so I want to pursue a career in marketing, where do I start? He said there are two things that I can suggest where you can start your career with. Don't expect yourself to become a marketing manager from day one. Even if you get that role, even if you get that job, you will not be able to add value. I said, why? I've studied marketing. Of course, I understand the concepts. It's just about putting that into practicality. He said, no. In order to understand the true value and essence of marketing, you need to first start your career either in sales or in advertising. These are the two functions that will bring you in direct contact with your buyer. You will be speaking with them. So if I'm speaking with you and I understand what your goals are, I know what my audience wants from me today or from my company, I can easily create that and deliver, right? But if I'm sitting at home and I'm doing, my role is marketing, I've never spoken with you, I don't know what you guys want, then I will create something based on my imagination or just some desk research that I have done, or maybe I'll follow competition. My competitor company is doing this, let me also do this, right? So he was very valid in what suggestion he gave. Sales was definitely one function where I thought that, I can add value. If you can communicate well, and if you're getting to communicate with different kinds of people, with different kinds of mindsets on a daily basis, that is something that's going to give you the real essence of marketing. You'll know what your audience wants. And that's exactly how my career has progressed at both Dale Carnegie and Synergy. I joined in sales, and now slowly I'm seeing myself doing marketing as well. So in Dale Carnegie, when we had to create awareness and start promoting Dale Carnegie in the tier 2 cities, I learned Pune is a very stingy market. They do not want to spend money. There is no awareness about the importance of training programs as compared to a Bombay or a Delhi or a Bangalore, which are quite advanced. Their budgets are low. Companies have very small budgets in Pune as compared to the other organizations. So unless, even if the buyer understands the importance of what I'm trying to sell, he does not have the money to buy it. We all want to buy Mercedes Benz, right? We understand the importance of what it is to have a Mercedes Benz, but we do not have the money. So that's another challenge. So there are a lot of challenges that you will encounter, and as you will try and face these challenges, your learning will happen. So if I have to advise any of you guys who want to pursue a career in marketing, I would pass on the same advice that I got. Try and look for a career in sales or in advertising. That will give you good 2 to 3 years of experience in interacting with your real buyers. Then you can move on to a role in marketing and add the real value to your company by creating that for your buyers. In one section of what I wanted to discuss with you, I wanted to share with you one very important thing that the corporate world or any entrepreneurial world or even your personal life is going to demand from you. And I would really love to see all of you in these 2 years try and build on this one skill that I'm talking about. And this is people skills. Every single day, if I have to talk about the challenges that I face in my organization or the challenges that I face when I'm talking to investors for an entrepreneurial venture that I'm working on, these are challenges related to people. Each one of us has come here with our own set of experiences, right? All of our backgrounds are different. I cannot pick two individuals and say that they are the same, or even I cannot use the word similar for them. Each of our mindsets have been formed by our own experiences in life. I believe X is right, somebody else will believe Y is right. A third person will say both are right, a fourth person will say both are wrong, a fifth person will say this is not worth an argument. So each person is going to have their own point of view. Can you imagine yourself in an organization where you're dealing with 400 to 500 people on a daily basis, interacting with them via emails, via telephones, in various group discussions, in various group meetings, in a company meeting forum as a whole where the 400, 500 people are sitting and the CEO is presenting his company plans? How are you going to align your thoughts with the thoughts of others? And this is one skill that cannot be taught. It is something that will have to be developed. So I would suggest talk more and more with each other. Each one of you sitting here towards the end of 2 years should be able to know what each other person's personality is like. And there shouldn't be a conflict there. So for example, you would have seen, right, you would have all gone through group discussions and you would have seen some people getting aggressive, raising their voice on certain topic and trying to show that, you know, I know about this, so I'm going to be doing more of the talking. It's not that. You always need to draw a balance between what you're saying and what the other person is saying. Always go with an open mindset to learn what the other person is saying. Even if a negotiation or an argument is happening, go with a mindset that I'm going to learn something out of it. Whenever there's an argument happening between two people, even when we see people fighting on the roads, we come back and we tell our friends about it. You know what, this guy hit that guy's car and they were both fighting. This guy was saying that you had to go from right, you had to go from left, you did not give me an indicator that you're taking a turn, and they were both fighting. But when we observe it, we come back and narrate the incident to our friends, we are putting our own thought pattern into it. We are putting our perspective into it. We have thought about the situation. Think of a situation where those two people only fighting over there, instead of fighting, would have first calmed down, thought about the situation and thought about the solution. The car is already hit. Telling him you should have taken a right, telling him you should have given me the indicator is not going to undo what has already happened. Rather, had I got out of the car and told him, sir, I have hit your car, I am sorry. Tell me how much is the expense. I don't think I can give you the entire amount because it was your fault as well, because you did not give me the indicator that you wanted to take a right turn. Let's share it. I'll give you 50% of the amount. If you go with a solution to the person, I think he'll respect you more, rather than you going and talking to him about the problem which he's already aware of. You're not adding value there. And this is a similar kind of expectation that will be laid upon you even in any organization. You'll be expected to come across as a mature individual, expected to come across with a solution for people. If you also have I remember an incident where I was responsible for handling the Hyderabad, Chennai and Trivandrum markets for Dale Carnegie training. And I was told that I have to create awareness about Dale Carnegie training programs and get X amount of revenue for the company in this 1 quarter. Fair enough. A new girl had been hired at that point in time. She also was told that you assist Pooja and work with her so that you understand how this whole business works, and you try and add value in whatever way you can. If you are also able to close some business, great, but I'm not having any expectations from you. Both of us were working on the same market. I was calling the prospect. I had built a relationship with him. He knew what we do. I had sent him a lot of marketing literature. He was quite impressed. So there was a relationship that we had built over the last 3 months. Instead of learning, she thought, let me bank upon this particular relationship that she already has. My deal was almost on a closure. She called the same prospect and she closed the deal instead of me. And she went to my VP and said that I've closed this deal. My VP was very impressed, like, wow, good job. And this was not expected, but in a very less span of time, you've understood the business, you've done well, etc. And what company is this? She said Standard Chartered. Then it clicked her. Standard Chartered was an account being handled by Pooja. How did she close? But she did not say anything to her at that point of time. She did not want to put her in the spot. She came and she discussed this with me, and I was shocked to know that the deal has already been closed without my knowledge, and by somebody who I was helping to grow up and reach each of our level, and she was still learning, but she really played a very smart game, and she banked on all my effort. What I could have done is, and what I've seen other people do in similar situations in my organization, they'll walk up to that girl and say, how dare you? I was working on this account, how dare you? And then there's a big fight after that. Rather, my VP and I decided we'll sit down, we'll call that girl, and it was her first job as well. We mentored her. We told her that this is unethical, it's not right. And if any organization comes to know that you're trying to play smart and you're trying to come in somebody's way, trying to show a competitive nature, it's not going to be accepted. A lot of IT companies have found such people, and because of their unethical behaviors, they have been barred by the NASSCOM Institute, which means no single IT company can ever give you an appointment letter. You have been blacklisted. So we need to be very careful about the integrity and the ethical nature that we bring there, and handling every situation in a mature way. We are not there to spoil each other's career, we are there to make our own career. Every single day the competition should be with yourself, not with the people around. But like I said, people issues is something that you'll have to deal with every single day. You'll find in one day, if you're at your desk for 10 hours, your 7 hours are spent on dealing with people. So it's very important to deal with peace. We're not dealing with truck drivers, we're not dealing with auto rickshaw walas that we need to raise our voice, and if they misbehave, we also misbehave in return. Everybody loses respect in that bargain. If you act mature, you're aware of your language, your body language, and you are calm, you'll win in that entire battle at the end of the day. So that's one thing that I would really request all of you to focus on. There are a lot of workshops that JSO is going to conduct on this, but this is one thing that you'll always have to have at the back of your mind. It's your people skills that is going to get you respect, and that's going to get you success in the corporate world. Yeah, so that was my story so far, and if you guys have any questions now, please let me know. No questions, I was very clear. Yes.
If I choose the advertising stream, then which type of job I will get?
Okay. So there's a business model for every industry that you first need to understand, right? So an advertising company, what do they sell? They sell their concept. I'm PepsiCo, or I'm HUL, and I have launched a new product in the market. Lot of these big companies, Procter and Gamble, etc., they have their own marketing and advertising divisions within their company, right? So they have their own resources who will design. So if it's a new toothpaste that I'm going to launch, I'll tell my marketing team to come up with a beautiful concept for an advertisement, or a nice banner for a hoarding, a nice thing that I can put up on the radio, FM, something that I can promote through a Facebook page. So there are different channels through which the advertising happens, right? At a point, each of us have limited skills. I mean, we are not all equipped with all the skills. I am not equipped, even if I am an advertising expert, I am not equipped to think about everything. That's when an HUL will feel that I need to bring an outside perspective. Okay, this is a brilliant concept that my division has come up with. Let me see what big advertising firms have to say if I go and give them this. And because these firms are working with lot of such clients like you, they are working even with an HUL, they are working with a Procter and Gamble, they are working with different other brands, their level of expertise and knowledge is much broader. So an HUL will go to an advertising firm and say that this is a product I am launching, and I want you to come up with a good advertising campaign for it. So in an advertising firm, there will be one division of account executive. So I go to an account executive, HUL goes to an account executive, and the account executive is going to gather all my requirements. So that's one kind of job you can look at. The account executive will gather all the client requirements, pass it on to the creative team. If you think you have a creative instinct, that's another department you can look at. All the requirements go to the creative team. They all sit and conceptualize. There's a marketing channels team. Once the concept is ready, the channels team will decide which channels can we promote this to. Lot of advertisements you'll see, they only happen on TV. Some happen only on Facebook. Some happen on both. So the channels team will decide which channels I can market through. Once that is done and the advertisement is delivered, the delivery happens through a presentation team. That's called client servicing team. The client servicing team is then going to present the whole idea, is responsible for selling that idea to HUL, making sure they buy it, and after that tracking the satisfaction of the client. So in a nutshell, as far as I know, this is how the structure of the advertising organization looks like. And most opportunities in this particular industry are either in a Mumbai or a Delhi. So you have to be open to traveling as well, because your clients are located all over the place, so you need to be flexible. Yeah. Yes, one by one, okay? Yeah.
Good morning, ma'am. I am Archika from West Bengal.
Yeah.
Ma'am, I want to know that as you said that try to deal any work in peace, but you are saying, but if you are saying that your boss or your colleague is misbehaving with you and you are trying to handle the situation, but continuously your boss is misbehaving or underestimating you, and you don't have choice because he is your boss, and you are getting irritated or you are getting frustrated, then how to handle that situation?
Okay. I have faced this kind of a situation. At a certain point, for a small period, when I was working with Synergy, I was reporting. When I was hired, I was reporting to the vice president who had been with the company for 14 years. He had moved on, after which my reporting became directly to the CEO. CEO felt that probably we need to bring a layer in between. So there were certain people internally who were promoted and they were given the designation of director, and they had about 7 years of odd experiences. One of these guys became my manager, and it became a little difficult for me because I had worked with a VP who had 14 years of experience. I had worked with a CEO who had started this company 24 years back. I was not able to accept this individual, number one, as my reporting manager. He definitely brought very less skill set with him as compared to the other people. I felt that I know more than he knows because I have worked with a different set of people there. And there was a complete misalignment.
I want to know that I used to think that my opportunities are good in biotechnology company. Is that so, or the opportunities are same in other sector also?
I would suggest you to keep your mind open. Okay, you have studied biotech, yes, your understanding is stronger than most other people who would be competing with you for jobs there. But the areas that we are talking about in MBA, which is HR, finance, operations, marketing, their roles have very little to do with your technical skills, right? I am not an engineer. I have not come from an IT background, but today I am working with an IT company. Even if I'm selling, even if I'm marketing, I'm creating brochures that are talking about my company's software product. I did not have the technical knowledge. And I can guarantee you, even if an engineer was hired over me, who's come from a biotech background, we would have almost done the similar job. So it's just about an open mindset and looking forward. What you have studied, that's always going to stay with you. I would say that if you want to do a specialization in HR, you want to do a specialization in marketing, why do you want to narrow yourself only to working with biotech companies or only with life science or pharma companies? You will get different experiences. So for example, Dale Carnegie training, I was selling corporate training solutions. When I came to Synergy, I started selling IT software consulting services, completely different. And I've loved the experience so far. Otherwise, it's a lot of monotony in life. You need to be open to learning new things. Yeah? Yes.
Can I ask just one last question?
Yes.
Ma'am, I would like to ask you that what was the biggest challenge you faced in your organizations?
Okay. This, I'll try and cut it short because we don't have time. Like I said, I was reporting to a vice president when I joined Synergy, and 1 year down the line, after 1 year of working with him, all of a sudden we get to know that he has been fired. Okay, it's an American organization. It has a complete hire and fire culture. I don't know, if I go back to office tomorrow, I might just have an email saying you're fired. It's that bad. He was fired, and our CEO, he came on a video conference. He works out of Singapore. He came on a conference call and he said that we have fired this person because of his laid back culture, because he had promoted a very wrong culture in the organization of not being quick and responsive enough to emails, because of which we were losing business. And that was end of story. It took him 5 minutes just to explain why a man who had spent 14 years of his organization, of his life with your organization, got fired. And we were a team of 50 people back then. We all heard, we went back. And as far as I had worked with this vice president for last 1 year, I had not experienced anything of what he had mentioned, that he's promoting a laid back culture. He's in fact always asked us to be on our toes when any task has been asked to deliver. Non-responsiveness to emails. I don't remember any single email of mine not answered to, even when we were working in different time zones. If I'm in India office, he's in the US, he has always replied to my emails whenever he's seen it. The challenge was, so going back to the roots of this problem, we realized that there was just one girl from our entire team of 50 people who went and complained to the CEO, saying that these are the things he's doing, and she said it in her own interest because the VP was not giving her a promotion. She was promised a promotion at the time of hiring, but she was not being given promotion because she had not delivered in the 1 year. It's fair, right? You perform, you get promoted. If you don't perform and you sit there and you say that I bring 10 years of experience with me, promote me on that basis, that's not fair. You need to add value to this company. Then this company will decide whether you should be promoted. So he, to me, looked fair. Now the challenge was, who will go and tell this to the CEO, that you've taken a wrong decision? And even if you wanted him to go, you should have taken a 360 degrees feedback. You should have asked more people whether what things have been brought to your notice, are they really valid or not? Everybody is worried about their jobs. We all have our monthly bills to pay. If I lose my job today, I don't know when I'll get the next one. But my conscience was not allowing me to sit there and just witness what had happened, because I held very high respect for that man, and I feel that even if he was asked to go, this was not the right way to let him go. You should have told him that this is what we've observed about you. Can you change this particular aspect of your behavior? We are giving you a month. If you don't, then we ask you to go. It did not happen. It was a decision taken overnight and on feedback of one individual. It was a very challenging situation for me, because nobody else from my entire team wanted to go up and tell him this, because everybody was worried about their jobs. For a minute, I put my job on the back burner. I wrote a very long email